Welcome to the channel. I'm Mike, and in today's video, I'll do a refinishing of this 1977 Citizen automatic 21 jewel wristwatch. This watch is powered by the Citizen Miyota 8200 movement with day and date complication. It has a beautiful dial that I'm going to call a tobacco sunburst with an all stainless steel case. I'm not going to service the movement at this time because 1, it is running great, and 2, I have too many watches taken apart right now for a full servicing that need to be completed first. But I want to start enjoying this watch right away, so it's going to get a full cosmetic detailing. If you're new to the channel, first, welcome. I started the channel in mid-2022, shortly after discovering watchmaking as a hobby. I've been fixing my old watches and honing my skills on bargain vintage watches that I've been finding at flea markets and jewelry and thrift stores that sell and buy secondhand. I bought this Citizen watch for $17 US, and I'm going to give you a first-hand view of how I attempt to make it look almost new. Let's get started. I'm going to pull it apart, change out the bracelet, polish the case, put on a new crown because you can see all the plating is worn off of this crown, and I think I'd like to replace the crystal because this crystal has seen better days. Take a closer look at that crown. There's the hint of a logo on the crown. I can't read what that is. Here's a look at the side of the case. Lots of scratches, no gigantic, scary gouges. The watch winds with the automatic winding. So that's all working. And the watch is keeping to about 1 minute a day. Now, interestingly, I've never seen this before. Like, it has Friday, but then it has 5 Fridays. Yeah, it's kind of cool. They've got Sunday and dot Sunday, Monday, 1 Monday, Tuesday, 2 Tuesday. So I guess that's a way to make the day of the week multilingual. Just keep the English, but just put numbers in there, for anyone else, so you don't have to be able to even read English as long as you can read the Arabic numbers. These Spidel bands, the Spidel bracelets have this extra expansion part in the ends to fill in the gap so you can use them in bigger watches. They always like to wrestle with you when you're putting bands in and out. I just like to grab that end with my fingernail, push it back. Now you could see those little expandable pushers that pop out to fill a gap, so you could use a 15.5 millimeter bracelet like this in an 18 millimeter watch like this. I'm trying to keep my work area clean, but at the same time, just the nature of working on these bargain vintage watches, probably part of the reason they're bargains is someone takes a close look at them and they're just filthy, but they're very easily cleaned. Let's open her up, take her apart. This is a watch back remover, or as some people might call it, a watch back scratcher, because you can scratch your watch if you're not careful. And I actually like to go so far as to turn the little square edges inwards so they line up as close as we can to the notches here. So let's see if we can just use this wrench to open up the case back, which is our first step. 1, 2, 3. Did we get it? Hey, I think maybe we did. Use the rubber ball. Yeah, that's turning. All right, excellent. If you're using one of these tools and you're having a tough time keeping a grip, I've got an old leather glove. Sometimes that old leather glove can give you the protection or the grip that you need to hang on to that watch securely without hurting your fingers. Alternately, I just picked up this watch repair tool set. This actually has something in it that I did not have, which would have been useful in this very situation. And that is one of these watch holders, which would allow you to put the watch case in. I guess it would go in kind of like this, tighten it down, and then that would give you a better grip on the watch. So when you when you open the back with the watch back opener, you have a better grip on it. Okay, let's open it up, see what's inside, so we can start breaking down the components so we can get this watch cleaned up and put back together and start wearing it. What do we have going on in here? Movement wanted to come with. Let's see, do we have any service marks here on the case? Yep, there's one service mark. And it looks like it says something /98. So we're looking at 25 years. So if it's been 25 years, that's pretty good. Let's see if we can just pull this gasket off, get him out of the way. Is he still pliant? He's a little crispy. We can retire you, Mr. Gasket. You have done your job. So here's the case back. It's looking pretty good. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick look. I'm going to just give you a brief overview of how you can date your Citizen watch. So on this watch, the serial number is right there. And the first digit will match the year. I know that this watch was made in 1977. That's the 7. So if that number was a 6, it would be 1976. Now, the way I know that is the movement in this watch is Miyota's 8200 movement, and that movement was launched in 1975. So it cannot predate 1975. And then the next two digits, 0, 3, indicate the month of manufacture. So 703 would be March of 1977. Hope that's helpful. And let's have a look at this Citizen Miyota 8200 movement. So there's the rotor. This is a self-winding watch, 21 jewels. It is not a fancy, highly decorated movement, but it is a workhorse of a movement. So you can see the balance in the shock mount here. The watch is ticking happily away. And does it wind in both directions? Let's see. It's definitely winding when you go in this anti-clockwise direction. And let's see, if we go this way, is anything turning? Okay, I don't see anything turning. So first things first, I want to remove the winding stem so we can pop the movement out of the case. It appears that there's a push button here. Let's see if that does anything for us. Is that a pusher? It is. And by pushing down that little button, it releases the crown. So here's the crown and the winding stem. So if you want to see just how much a watch has been worn, take a look at the inside of the crown. All right, well, looks like a plastic case ring, but that's right now attached to the movement. So with the crown removed, we should be able to flip over the movement. And can we lift off the case? No, it's coming. Get our first good look at the dial. Wow. Okay, you could see it wiggling around a little bit because it's sitting on that spinning rotor, that self-winding rotor. In fact, this is kind of interesting. Just the momentum of the balance wheel. Look at that. That's cool. I'm not touching it. I want you to see. I'm not touching it. Hands off the table. That movement is wiggling itself. Yeah, that definitely is. That's the first time I've ever seen that. Okay, again, keeping clean as we work. There was some muck between the 9 and the 10 index. You got a good look at that right now. Wow, I'm hoping that that's just dirt. Let me just try a puff of air. See if that can't remedy it. I don't know if you can see it, but it looks like the end is lifting up. Got him. Well, that was satisfying. How did he get in there? Okay, so what else is left to look at? The case. The top part might be brushed. The side is polished. Yeah, it pretty much looks like the rest of the case is a polished finish. That tube looks pretty good. No problem, a little bit dirty. Okay, can we pop out the crystal? Let's see what happens if we just give it a push. There's our answer. So there's a plastic insert. Does he still have flex? Yeah, he still has flex. He's in good shape. How big is the crystal? 27.7. Turn it a little bit. 27.7. Get the thickness. 1.66. 1.68. We're going to call this 1.7. So here's the basic information that we need if we want to order another crystal. And we're just going to give the case a little helper before we put it in the ultrasonic cleaner. Get the points of my brass tweezers in here. All right, that's coming nicely. I think that's ready for the ultrasonic. So how are we looking here as far as dirt? Nothing fancy. We're just scraping off anything that can be scraped off. There's always a little bit more that it looks like you can get off. This little piece of pegwood. Oh yeah. And you can just see the history peeling away as we work the pegwood around the stainless steel case. Wow. Oh, the stem came out clean. No surprises here. It's still scratched. How'd we do here? That's a big improvement. Okay. Now that the watch case had run through the ultrasonic cleaner, it became more evident that the round center column might be a separate piece from the outside of the case. If this was so, it would give us the access we need to do a much more professional refinishing. So I don't know if this is threaded. I think I'll just put it on the press and push a little bit from the back and see if we can get any movement on it. Sound like a plan? Let's give it a try. Want a little bit of wiggle room just to give some clearance. With those secured down, there we go. Downward pressure. Oh, well, something popped. That was very quick and easy. Let's see what happened. Did this loosen? I can't tell. Let's put it back in the press. Yeah, it felt like something got loose again. Hey, it did work. Look at that. We've got two parts now. Awesome. That is exactly what I was hoping for. Very nice. Okay, now this simplifies things. Oh, and look, there's lots of extra dirt in there. Is there a gasket? Oh, there's a gasket too. Good, so it's not threaded, it's just push fit in. Now it's going to be much easier to clean on the buffer. Perfect, beautiful. And this also now gives me the opportunity to restore the brushed finish to the top. Let's see, what shape is this gasket in? I hope we can reuse it. Well, it's flexible. That's a good start. Good. And let's see if it's directional. Now, by directional, sometimes the profile is sort of like a letter L. And this one, yeah, this has a very slight extra ridge at the bottom. I think I'll give this another cleanup just because I've uncovered new gunk. I'm going to wet sand the back of the watch before moving on to the electric buffer. The engraving on the back of this watch is deep, which lets us sand more aggressively. We're going to start with 400, 600, and then we'll jump up to 1,000. For wet, I just use Windex. It's always been my go-to. I'm just putting a little bit on the back of the paper here to help it stay flat. And the rest is pretty easy. Be careful not to erase the writing. Vintage watches of value can easily lose their value by over-polishing, so proceed at your own risk. For this watch, we're gonna live dangerously. Move the sandpaper around just to get some fresh abrasive. And let's take another look. By sanding by hand, it goes slower, but you also have more control. If I was to machine sand, it's very easy to take off too much too quickly. The back is still nice and readable. 600. That light gray colored sandpaper we used previously was nice because you could see from the darkness of the slurry how much material was coming off. Yeah, this is messy business. 1,000. Couple of quick laps. Let's do some circles here. Turn. Turn. Now we just have a bunch of little micro scratches, but that should be no match for the buffing wheel. I just clean these up at the sink and a little bit of dish soap, some warm water, and they cleaned up great. Even the gasket cleaned up. It's still nice and pliable, so I think we'll be able to reuse that. See if we can match this angle and get rid of some of the nicks that are along the outside of this. So I'm going to start out with my 1500 stick. Avoid smoothing over any sharp lines. So I think we've knocked down any burrs. I'm going to jump up to a 2400. See if we can start restoring a little bit of the shine, or just kind of smooth it over. Again, we're matching that top bevel here. If there is going to be a risk of softening these body lines, it will be on the electric buffer. So the more we can do here, I think the better. Now I'm just trying to use the edge of this rubber block as a bit of a straight edge to keep the sanding stick at a right angle. What if I do this? This is a complex shape. It's concave here and then convex there. And so I'm just going to use a little bit of 600 sandpaper just to see if I can get some of those major scratches out. So I'm just going to use a little bit of Windex here on the sandpaper and just using my finger to trace that edge. I want to keep proud of the bevel. So we'll just do this in segments. Feels great after you do a little bit of wet sanding. And now that top piece is off, so much easier. So the goal here is I'm not trying to make the watch look new. I'm trying to make the watch look younger. And I think that that's kind of a happy medium. I've sanded a transition line. You can see it over here. So by flat sanding this, see that transition line? I just want to see if I can soften that line now going into the lugs. And I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do this. And as a flea market watch, I think it's a good opportunity to sort of develop my own style. I encourage you to develop your own style. Okay, let's start the shine on the back. There's the matte finish after our sanding. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a reflection on it. That's coming along. You can see there's buffing compound in the writing. It actually makes it stand out. I kind of like that. It's getting warm. It's not a mirror finish yet, but I like it. Okay, let's move over here. Let's grab our microfiber. It's not so bad, but it's still kind of a matte finish. Let's see if we can make it shiny. Look at that. Look at that, it's a mirror. Okay, that's my test. If we could see the camera, we are where we want to be. It's still legible. Okay, we're going to move on to the case. Pretty. One ring to rule them all. And we're going to treat every face as a separate surface. We'll get the backs of the lugs. Get the ends of the lugs. We'll get in between the lugs. And then we'll do the top bevel, and then we'll do the top. The sharp faces like to take the compound off, so it builds up more quickly in some places than others. Last step. Let's see if we can make that shiny, so then we could put a fresh brushed finish on it. Okay, let's move on to the green. It's quite nice, actually. A couple of micro scratches there. That will be covered up by the brushing. Okay. I'm looking forward to getting this watch back together more than ever. So this is the most unforgiving camera. I'm just going to wipe down the edges of the case with some IPA so the tape adheres better. And then we're going to mask the parts of the case that we do not want to get brushed when we brush the top. I'm going to use this tape. It's a heat-resistant tape, and the nice thing about this is it doesn't leave a residue, and it should adhere very nicely to the slick surfaces. X-Acto knife with a fresh blade. Wow, if you've made it this far, thank you. While I mask all the stay shiny bits, please find that thumbs up button and give it a click. I really appreciate your support. There we are, we're masked. So we're just going to put that brush finish on the top surface. We're using these 3M. These are the gray pads. And we're just going to put it on here and concentrate on brushing in a linear fashion. Here we go. And the scratch is starting to show. Okay, I'm going to drag it now over those lugs. Take a peek. Oh, it's coming out nice. I can also rock to get the lugs. All right, I feel like I kind of dug in on that one. Rocking it. I really like that. So I'm going to stop right there. That was easy. That was a lot of prep to get to right here. So let's unmask it. I'll clean it up a little bit and we'll take a look at it, and then we get to put this watch back together. Very excited. Yeah, much quicker coming off than it was going on. So what's next? That's what's next. Remember, there's a little L shape at the bottom. You want to make sure that that little lip is pointing down. I'm just using a flat presser die here. Pop it out, see how it looks. How'd we do? It looks pretty even. And there's a little bit of a gap, a bigger gap right there. Let's sandwich it just a few more times. Let it self-center. Let's see how we did. Yeah, we're pretty close to perfect. Old crystal, new crystals. This crystal it measures 27.7 millimeters and about 1.7 millimeters thick, but I couldn't get that. I ordered from Esslinger, and they had one that was 27.6 and one that was 27.8 millimeters, both 1.8 millimeters thick, which is very similar. The one that matched, the 27.7 millimeters, they didn't have in the 1.8 millimeter thickness. They had it in a 2 millimeter thickness. I'm tempted to try the thicker crystal first. So here's the new crystal. And yes, it has a beveled side that goes up. First things first, we're going to reuse the old crystal insert. Come on, you were in there before. You'll go in there again, yes? There we go. Give that a little clean off. Don't want anything trapped. Okay, get it centered. Settled in place kind of happily. Nice and easy. Let's see how we did. You know, that looks fairly even. And the bevel on the edge of the glass actually, it looks like it fits. Is it in tight? Thumb test. That's not going anywhere. Okay. Remember this? So let's see if we can get the old one off. We have the crown chucked up in a pin vise, and with any luck, we can unscrew the old crown. And let's see, how big is the old crown? 4.3. Here is our set of replacement crowns. We have 4.0 and we have 4.5. Try the bigger one first, just see how that sits on the case. It's this one here. I'm going to use a dab of blue removable thread locker to attach the crown to the winding stem. Okay, just a dot. Pick ourselves up a nice little blueberry of thread locker. There we go. That feels very secure. We'll mop up the excess. So the new crown has been thread locked onto the old stem. And before we reassemble the watch, I'm going to give this about 20 minutes to set up. Just going to put a little bit of grease on the winding stem. There we go. Let's see, did I get a little bit of fingerprint on there? Keep it pretty for the next time we open it. We need to get a gasket on here. clean microfiber before the big reveal. So I'm pretty happy with this. Oh no, is that a hair on the inside or the outside? Ah, okay, it blew away. Good.